Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to show you the life cycle of dandelions through our drawing process. And this dandelions also known as puffball or fairy clock flowers. And so these flowers usually come in yellow and red. So obviously we're not painting it, we're drawing it. So I'm using this gel pen having different sizes. Mostly I'm going to use 01 for outlining and 005 mm for fine detailing in it. So we are going to start with the flower bird. So I'm creating a simple stem, and then you can create at the top, because we are creating flower bird. So at the top I need a horizontal oval kind of shape, and in this particular space I'm going to create sepals and then flower bird. So this is almost closed, so no flower petals are popping from here. So this is the initial phase of flowering stage, and then create sepals at the horizontal shape that you have created. So you can create multiple sepals like this, a leaf kind of structure. So let's draw everything with the help of pen so that you can see things clearly. I'm just tracing everything with the help of pen, nothing fancy in here as of now. Make it closed a little bit, and then little zigzag pattern at the top, and then you can also do folding pattern into your sepals as well, like we do for the petals, and then few lines in between, or maybe you can also do little bit of cross contouring or shading mechanism. Also I am contouring the flower bird structure with the parallel lines. So hatching means creating lines parallel to each other, and contouring means you're going with the object's shape. You can draw these lines as close as you want, or you can keep distance lines as well if you don't want very hard shading into this particular area. I really like to do some cross contouring at one side of the structure like this, and little bit of cross contouring in the sepals as well if you want some dark shading around these particular area. So create multiple cross lines like this at one side of the bird to make it more beautiful. Otherwise you can keep it simple as well. And I'm going to repeat the bird structure, the sepal structure, and the stem structure similar in every other phases of the dandelion's flower. So I'm going to repeat all these things again and again. So I'm explaining everything in detail in this particular phase and maybe one more, and then you can simply create the same kind of thing for all the other stages as well. Now this stage is called flower bird stage. Now we are going to repeat the almost same thing what we did in the first one, creating the flower bird, sepals and stems. So these things are common in the second stage, and the second stage is called opening of the flower. And because we are saying this is the opening of the flower, the one difference as compared to the bird is we are seeing some of the petals emerging from the flower bird. So these are the petal at the top. This could be of yellow color or orange color. Because we're drawing, I cannot give you a very solid reference because we need to assume few things. So assume few petals are popping from the bird itself. Now repeat the same thing what we did in the first one, create sepals at the base, and do some contouring process at the flower base structure. Usually this should be in the green color, but as we are drawing we need to define these things with the help of pen itself. So I'm doing some contouring method here, and I'm also going to do some cross contouring at one side of the bird. So you just need to follow these structure in all the other stages as well. Now you have understand things clearly what needs to be done here. So I'm showing all these things quickly as we have already understand what needs to be done here. Now in this particular one we can see few of the petals. Now the next phase is blooming or bloomed flower. You can create one more stage in between these two, like the bloomed flower and the opening of the flower, but I'm just switching from the opening of the flower to the bloomed flower. Create a basic structure like this. The only difference this time is we have little open structure in the base of the flower, and we need a round kind of shape. So I'm dividing this round shape into three parts: the left round shape and the right round shape and the center round shape, so that we can define the direction of the petals accordingly. So I'm going to start with the center flower, but I need the base structure little less, so I'm rubbing that area. And now assume this is the guideline structure for the petals. And before doing petals I'm just tracing everything like we did for the other two, the creating sepals, stems and the base. So again we are repeating the same thing, so no need to worry about these things. I'm going quickly. Now let's start with the petals. So I'm going to start with the middle section first. So in the middle section all the petals shape should be a little bit tilted towards left and right and creating a round kind of shape. So something like this. You need to create multiple V kind of shape to make it bushier, and then create left side petals. So I'm again creating little longer V kind of shape or U kind of shape. Then you can repeat the same thing for the right side as well. So this is the first layering for the left and right side of the flower, and then you can also cover the in between sections. Create few more structure between two petals to make it more bushier. So create something like this at the tip of the flower, and you can also do overlapping of the petals. Make it bushier as much as you want. Now because we are not able to see the base of the flower clearly, so I am doing a round kind of shape and cross contouring this particular section so that we can see the petals clearly and the base of the flower clearly. So cross contouring, you can do as much as line you want to draw. Let's start with the another phase. This phase is called graying phase or closing phase. So basically the flower is now about to close. All the petals are dried and you can see few petals at the tip. All the petals are graying now, and almost this flower is almost in the drying stage. So I'm going to create few petals here, but not very fresh, almost dried petal. And then repeat the same thing to shade the flower structure like we did for every other flower. Okay, now the next stage is shading. So everything is dried and every petal has gone now, so we can see the base of the flower, but this time quite open, and this structure is quite similar to the flower bird. So the only difference is this one is quite open and this one is actually dried. because the shading has happened and no petals left in this particular phase. I'm again repeating the same shading process for the bird structure and all, and you can see the first one and this one is quite similar to each other. The only difference is the first one is quite closed and fresh, and this one is dried and little bit open. Now let's move to the next stage. This stage is called reblooming, wherein we can see the feathery bristle emerging from the base of the flower. This is not still bloomed, so we can see some closed structure only. At the tip of the flower bird, we can see some feathery texture. So I have highlighted everything. You can do a little bit of shading like we did for every other flower as well, and then rub all the unwanted pencil mark. The only difference in this one, I'm going to create some feathery texture at the top of the flower bird, because this is the reblooming stage, so we can see now the feathery bristle. So with the help of a stippling method, I'm creating dots around this particular area. The density of dots could be higher or lesser based on your requirement. So I am filling this area with the help of these dots, and we can also create some bristles as well. So I'm creating few bristles which we can see clearly towards the left side. So this time we are creating only few, because this is the reblooming stage. This is not yet bloomed, and you can also create these bristles at the center or base of the flower as well. So I'm creating few here, and I think this much is enough. Now we can move to the next phase. So now we can see those feathery bristles that functions as a parachutes or sail to ensure wind disappeared these seeds, and the regermination of these flowers again happened. Now in this phase, the base of the flower is totally different. So we can see a round kind of structure. I'm keeping this particular structure inside my round shape, and some shading is also needed, and I'm doing this with the help of pencil because I want to keep this structure with the help of pencil, so that we can see some of the structure in between the bristles. So I'm highlighting the stems, and then I'm creating the bristles here. So create some lines around the circle. This should not be straight line, little bit curved line, and a few more in between. This time I'm touching the circle circumference itself. You can see I'm just extending the lines till the end, and then create few feathery texture at the tip. So I'm creating crisscross section like this throughout, around every line or at the tip of every line. Repeat the same thing and then create one more line, but this time I'm not going till the end. We are creating little shorter line as compared to the previous one, and in between two lines we have created one more line, and then repeat the same feathery texture around these lines as well. So now we are creating the second round shape with this feathery texture, and we are going to repeat all these things without creating any lines. So let me rub this. I accidentally rubbed the inner shades as well, so I'm just repeating this, and then create one more round shape with this feathery texture inside the inner circle, and then few more. Now you can just repeat this process in between as well, wherein you feel we have too much space. So I'm going to repeat this throughout the circle to make it little bushier. Okay, now this much is enough, I guess. So we have almost done. Now the last stage is balding. So basically in this particular stage all the bristles are disappeared with the help of wind, and we can see the base structure itself. We need to highlight this base structure, so create something like this first. Now create a center point. So I'm creating my center point in the upper right side and creating curved lines touching the center. So every time I'm creating these lines, I'm ending my line in the center itself. So you will see some structure like this. So I'm going throughout the circle. Okay, see how beautiful this structure is now. You can do a little bit of shading in the stems as well. We need to repeat the same thing with the same center part. So this is the center part, but this time we are doing opposite line, so opposite curve. So repeating the same thing but in the opposite direction. And now you can see how beautiful this base structure is. So we need to do something like this. No more shading needed, because this is the balding stage. So we can see some feathery bristle here in this particular structure as well. So let's create few at the right side. You can create different more stages because the dandelions has a beautiful life cycle, so you can create as many stages as you want. You can create one more stage every in between every two stages that we have created today. So I'm hoping this video is helpful for you guys. To let me know if you have any feedback for me, and thank you so much for loving my videos and watching my videos. See you guys in the next video.